प्रपन्न पारिजाताय स्तोत्रवेत्रैकपाणये ज्ञानमुद्राय कृष्णाय गीतामृतदुहे नमः। In this 221st class on Bhagavad Geetā, we are going to see verses 26 onwards of this Vibhuti Yoga, the 10th chapter of Srimad Bhagavad Geetā. In the 25th verse, what did we see? Maharshinam Braguraham Giramasmyekamaksharam Yajnanam Japayajnosmi Sthavaranam Himalaya. Of the great sages called Maharshis, I am Bhrigu. One of you asked last time in the question and answer session, how did the word Bhrigu come? Samskrita Shabdhartha Kosha, a wonderful Sanskrit to Hindi dictionary which I have been using for nearly 40 years, gives etymology of words and names. According to it, Bhrigu comes from the verbal root braj or braj, bhrajyate tapasa iti Bhrigu. This particular rishi did so much of tapas. As you know, the word tapas means austerities. Tapas also means heat, tapa. And in a figurative sense, it is as though he roasted himself or he roasted the surroundings. He heated them up so much. Roasted. Because bhrij means to roast. You may have heard the expression bharjita bija, a roasted seed. If you sow a roasted seed in fertile soil, even if it is fertile, the roasted seed never sprouts again. A Jivan Mukta, a person, lady or man, liberated while still appearing in the body, is called Jivan Mukta. And nothing can bring that person back to sansara. Enlightened, but then after some time he lost his enlightenment. You can't say. There is no question of a bharjita bija getting again life and sprouting and becoming a plant. So Jivan Mukta is once for all free, free for good. So Bhrigu, as it appears, did extraordinary tapas. So much heat was generated, and therefore, in a figurative, symbolic sense, tapasa bhrijyate iti Bhrigu, giram of all speech, all sounds, asmi ekam aksharam, I am Omkara, of yajnas, I am Japa yajna, and of hills and mountains, I am Himalaya. So we go further now to the 26th verse, where again is a wonderful poetry. Sri Krishna says, or Veda Vyasa puts it in such poetic form, Ashvattha sarva vrikshanam devarshinam cha naradaha gandharvanam chitrarataha siddhanam kapilo muni. Of all trees, which are almost countless kinds, I am Ashvattha. Ashvattha is the people tree. not the banyan tree, the tree for which the botanical name is given as Ficus religiosa. This Ashwatha tree has branches above and roots below, like all other trees. However, the 15th chapter of Gita or a mantra in the Kathopanishad asks us to visualize an Ashwatha tree which normally has branches above. The sacred text asks us to visualize an Ashwatha tree upside down. Urdhvamulam adashakam ashwatham prahuravyayam. Or Kathopanishad says, Urdhvamulaha avakshakaha eshoshvattaha sanatanaha. Either way, Ashwatha is a sacred tree. Sarva vrikshanam. Nowadays they say if you go in the early morning and go around Ashwatha a few times, spend some time below, it gives you a lot of oxygen. Modern science has found this out. There are many practices in Indian lifestyle which have therapeutic or healing influences, things that are good for health. One of them is this: go out in the morning. Do not sit between the four walls and go on reading newspaper or these days go online checking WhatsApp messages. Go out, breathe some fresh air. And if it's a small town and there is a people tree, go around it a few times. Good for the body, good for the mind, good for your breathing system, good for many aspects of your existence. So vrikshanam, sarva vrikshanam, sarvesham vrikshanam, aham ashwatha vrikshaha asmi. In the Upanishad and the Gita, Ashwatha symbolizes worldly life, where nothing remains tomorrow. Shvaha means tomorrow. Shvaha tishtati iti shvatha. Shvaha nahi na tishtati is ashvatha. So that is another philosophical elaboration. But now the tree ashwatha is much more than what meets the eyes. And the scriptures reveal its greatness. Devarshinam cha naradaha. Among gods who are typically into enjoyment, for Swarga gives all kinds of enjoyments, and one remains young also. Why not have fun? But there are always a small number. In spite of being in heaven, they are moderate in all their indulgences, and they inquire into Brahman. They inquire into the self. Who am I? And then they become rishis. Narada was one such, born of Lord Brahma. He was already a god, and then, thanks to his spirituality, he became a rishi. Devascha asau rishischa iti devarshi. Gandharvanam chitrarata. Another celestials, or you may call semi-celestial categories, Gandharvas, especially known for their expertise in music and maybe dance also. Of Gandharvas, I am Chitraratha. There are some stories about him. Chitraratha often figures in certain mythological stories. And Siddhanam Kapilo Muni. Siddha, those who have literally accomplished, who have accomplished things. Siddhi is extraordinary power. So those who attained extraordinary powers, supernatural, superhuman powers, I am Kapila. There are many Kapila Munis. Mainly, there is the Kapila Muni who gave the Sankhya Darshana. Some say the same Kapila Muni who gave Sankhya Darshana was the son of Devahuti in the Kapila Gita of Bhagavatam. But there are some scholars who differ. These are all some differences of opinion. But here, going by certain scholarly tippanas of or on Bhagavad Gita, Kapila Muni is not the giver of Sankhya Darshana. He is yet another Kapila Muni who was in deep meditation, deep down in the bowels of the earth, and the sons of Sagara, a certain king called Sagara, had performed a great yajna. He had kept a sacrificial horse, and that horse got stolen. And the sons of Sagara, mentioned as 60,000 sons, that may have its own interpretation, they go in search of that horse. And then, not finding it anywhere on the earth, they go to Patala or deep down into the earth. There, deep down, they reach some region and they found the horse parked there or standing there. And then they look around, there was this Kapila Muni. And then they disturb his tapas. They accuse him. When he opens his eyes, they scold him. You are acting like a rishi, but you are actually the thief of the horse which our father had tied for some Ashwamedha or some Yajna. And because they treated him rudely, badly, in an uncivil manner, without checking with him, how come this horse is with you? Did you get this? Or did somebody come and leave it here? They didn't make any inquiries. They jumped to the conclusion that he must have been the thief. He was not. And then he opens maybe a third eye, or through his regular two eyes, so much of heat and fire comes out, and all those 60,000 sons of Sagara are turned to ash. A huge heap of ash created. We know the whole story. Later on, their son or grandson or great grandson, one descendant in that Sagara's family called Bhagirath, brings Ganga from the heavens, and the huge effort that he puts in with so much of patience created the idiom. Even today, we say, when somebody puts in a lot of effort, we say, oh my God, that lady put in Bhagirath Prayatna, because Bhagirath became symbolic of unbelievable amount of effort. And then he gets Ganga, and that Ganga is made to flow down to those bowels of the earth and flow over the heap of ash. That's how the sons of Sagara get the forward, we go forward signal in the yatra of the soul. The jivatmas have to move forward. Sometimes they get stuck without proper sanskaras, without proper Vedic rites, which have the capacity to facilitate their onward journey. Therefore, Kapila Muni is said to be the Muni who was found meditating deep down inside the earth in certain special regions. The scriptures have talked about such regions. Therefore, he was also extraordinary. Let's see if Adi Shankaracharya gives a little more of elaboration. Ashwattaha Sarvakshanam, no comment. Devarshinam Chanaradaha. Who is a Devarshi? Devaha eva santaha rishitvam praptaha mantradarshitvat te devarshaya. They are Devarshis who, while being Devatas, they do tapas and they listen to mantras which are ever present in space. Ordinary people cannot listen, cannot hear. And these people hear, and since there is a certain insight that they receive, though they hear, it is said they see the mantras. Mantra darshitvat is one version, and another is mantra darshinaha. Mantra darshan, that is the definition of Rishi. Who is a Rishi? one who sees the mantras, one who hears the mantras, which are eternally present in space, but majority of human beings have no idea. We are surrounded by mantras, we are surrounded by devatas, we are surrounded by divine forces, but we don't know, and we don't know how to tap them. We fall a prey to lower forces, lower urges, lower energies. Alas, what a sad thing. Mantradarshitvat or mantradarshinaha rashaya devaha santa api tesham aham narada asmi. Bhagavan Sri Krishna says, think of me as Narada in the category, in the genre of devas. Gandharvanam Chitrarataha Nama Gandharvosmi. That's the name of a distinguished Gandharva. Siddhanam Janmana Eva Dharma Jnana Vairagya Aishwaryatishayam Praptanam Kapilaha Munihi. Siddha, he said accomplished. Accomplished on what scale, on what criteria? By birth itself, they have tremendous sense of what is right, what is the appropriate thing to be done in a situation. Dharma, jnana, they have so much of knowledge. Vairagya, they are detached from worldly pursuits. In this way, Aishwarya, wherever they go, by nature they become the masters of the situation. The way they deal with situations makes others' eyebrows go up. Dharma, Jnana, Vairagya, Aishwarya, Atishayam Praptaha, Siddhaha, Tesham, Kapilo Munihi. Thus we go now to 27th verse. Horses are taken up, elephants are taken up, and human beings are taken up. Three more categories are picked up by Sri Krishna, put into poetic form by sage Vyasa. उच्चैश्रवसमश्वानां विद्धि माम् अमृतोद्भवम् ऐरावतं गजेन्द्राणां नराणां च नराधिपम्. Of all the horses on the earth or in the heavens, I am Uchchaishravas. Uchchaishravas. Shravas means fame. Uchchai, he is of great fame. So this horse is very highly famed, very highly recognized, and it is picked up as the expression of divinity. God expresses himself through Uchchai Shravas. So it is said, Uchchai Shravas, how Uchchai Shravas was born, Amritodbhavam, when Devas and Asuras were churning the ocean to get Amrita, their objective, their goal, what they wanted to get was nectar. However, before that, so many other items rose. Just as in oil exploration, the world knows petrol, diesel, for they are used in automobiles and everybody, even a child knows petrol and diesel. But there are 100 other things that are obtained and they are also useful. So many other chemicals, so many other products are made by the industry when there is either digging and drilling or extracting from the depths of the earth, or as you know, there is offshore drilling also. So in the ocean also, India has some offshore operations where these fuels are extracted to some extent. As you know, in India, you have a whole corporation, Oil and Natural Gas Commission or Corporation, ONGC. So, like in modern uh, exploration or looking for oil, you get many other products too. In Amrita Mathana, as they churn the milky ocean, many items came. One of them was this Uchchaishravas, and Indra took it because it is the vehicle of Indra. Indrasya vahanatvat. This Ashwa, this horse, is picked up by Sri Krishna as an expression of divinity. Thus, Uchchaishravasam Ashwanam and Vidhimam Amritodbhavam. And it is said, the second one in this particular shloka, Airavatam Gajendrana. In Sanskrit, if not 100%, a whole lot of words have their etymology. They are derived from another word. So Airavata is son of Iravati. And what is the story behind? So we again resort to certain tippanis by scholars. There was a certain spiritual person who was known Mangala, and this person Mangala was reciting certain Vedic mantras which are called Rathantara Sama. As he was reciting with all devotion and involvement, this elephant arose. This elephant was born out of his spiritual powers. However, he straightaway gave it to a lady called Iravati. Take this elephant as your son. Or Iravati might have been a female elephant. Iravati got this elephant as her son. Therefore, Shankaracharya also says this Iravatyaha apatyam. Apatyam is a child, either way male or female. But generally, if you want to say it is son, the standard expression is Iravatyaha apatyam puman. So, if you want to say Bhargava is son of Bhragu, Bhargavaha Bhraguoho apatyam puman. So here you have Shankara Bhāshya, Airavatam, Iravatyaha apatyam, Gajendranam, Hastishwaranam. Hasti, which is the Hindi, in Hindi it becomes Hathi. Hasta is hand, and unlike most other animals, or unlike all other animals, this elephant not only has 4 feet, but a hand, so to say. Hand meaning the trunk. So it is called one with hand. So Hasti, Kari, Karahasya asti iti Kari, Hastahasya asti iti Kari, or Hasti. And in Hindi, वो जानवर जिसका 4 पैरों के अलावा हाथ भी है. It has a hath to pick up something and so on. Anyway, the shloka doesn't have the word Hasti. Shankara Bhāshya has. Gajendranam, Hastishwaranam, Airavatam, Naranancha Naradipam. Among men, regard me or see me in the king of men. Of course, there are good kings, bad kings, strong kings, weak kings, courageous kings, and highly fearful kings. Obviously, when Sri Krishna talks about him showing as a great king, it is those kings who are valiant, heroic, of great and sound character, who really cared for their subjects. So, exemplary and very eminent king. And one idea is in Indian culture, from time immemorial, there was this belief that a king is Devamsha Sambhuta. If somebody becomes a king, there must have been certain divine grace. Divine grace brought him. Raja Devansha Sambhutaha iti jananam shraddha bhavati, jananam vishwasaha bhavati. Therefore, Naranam cha Naradipam is said, he is a vibhuti. This whole chapter is vibhuti yoga. And naranam cha naradipam. Naradipa is no other than a king. Naresh, they say. Kashi Naresh, the king of Kashi, for example. Now quickly we see Shankara Bhāshya word by word. Uchchai Rvasam Ashvanam Uchchai Shravaha Nama Ashvarajah Tam Mam Vidhi Vijanihi Amritodbhavam. We explain this. Amrita Nimitta Matana Udbhavam. Born during the Mathana, churning, Amrita Mathana. That is Amrita Nimitta Matana. For the sake of getting nectar, that churning was done. Then Airavatam, Iravatyaha Patyam, Gajendranam, Hastishwaranam. Tam Vam Vidhi iti anuvartate. The word Vidhi applies in each section. Naranancha, Manushyanancha, Naradipam, Rajanam, Mam Vidhi, Janihi. So we go further. 28. It's not just living beings, even weapons. So we have 4 more vibhutis in the 28th verse. Ayudhanam aham vajraha dhenunam asmi kamadhuk rajanash chasmi kandarpaha sarpanam asmi vasukihi. Weapons are of various kinds. From time immemorial, human beings also developed all kinds of weapons of various shapes and sizes, made of various materials. And we know sword and mace and arrow, bow and arrow, and so on. Of all ayudas, I am Vajra. To kill a certain demon, which was a very, very difficult job because the demon Vratrasura had received some boons from Brahma or Shiva, and Indra was assigned that job. Indra, go kill Vratra. And Indra had to do some tapas. Indra had to receive blessings from gods. Finally, when he had to go, he also needed an extraordinary special weapon. And the scriptures say, the Puranas say, that weapon was made from the thigh bone of a certain rishi called the Dheechi. This rishi, who was doing tapas for a very long time, and every limb of his body, what do you call that? Nakashikanta. Nakashikanta. Starting from the nails all the way up to the head. That's an idiom. Nakashikanta. The entire body, every part of his was packed with the energy of tapas. And from his thigh bone, which he gladly gave, what a sacrifice, he put aside his own spiritual and other goals, but gave away his thigh bone to this cause. From that thigh bone, packed with power, the Vajrayuda was made. Indra's thunderbolt, we say. And that is me, says Sri Krishna. Dhenu namasmi kamaduk. Of all the cows in the 3 words, I am. Kamaduk literally means one who fulfills whatever desires. You have whatever desires, what you want, you get. However, the commentators say it is Vasishtasya Sarva Kamanam Dogdri. Samanya va Kamadut. 2 meanings Shankaracharya gives. One is Vasishta had an extraordinary cow, referred to sometimes as Nandini also in Valmiki Ramayana, and surely in some other works. There is the story how at one time Vishwamitra wanted it. And because Vasishta refused to part with that cow, there was a huge, very bad, bitter battle between the king of the country, Vishwamitra, and a tapasvi, Vasishta, and a lot of people died, a lot of bloodshed, and from that cow, Kamaduk, Kamadhenu, there came so many soldiers who defeated Vishwamitra. Vishwamitra got totally humiliated. And that war took place in several stages or several phases. In one of the phases, Vishwamitra successfully killed 100 sons of Vasishta. But finally, Vishwamitra suffers a very sad defeat that makes him give away his kingdom to the ministers and others, walk away for tapas. I also want to be a Brahmarshi like Vasishta. And he becomes Rajarshi first, not satisfied with it. He continues his austerities, becomes finally Brahmarshi. So this meaning of Kamaduk, number one, is Vasishta's cow, which literally gave everything. Another, Acharya Shankara writes, Samanya va Kamaduk. Samanya, because Kamaduk is feminine, a cow. Dogdri also is feminine, otherwise it would have been Dogda. In Gita Dhyana Shloka we have Dogda is Krishna. Partho Vatsa Sudhir Bhokta, Dogda Devaki Nandana, and so on. One Swamiji whom I know brings humor everywhere. And some people like it, some people don't. So somebody who didn't like it said to me, I stopped going to that Swamiji's classes. I said, why? Unnecessarily he makes fun and like what? I said. You see, Sarvo Parishado Gavo, Dogda Gopala Nandana, Partho Vatsa Sudhir Bhokta, Dugdam Gita Amritam Mahat. It is Dogda, one who milks the cow. Sri Krishna milks the cow of the cows of the Upanishads. But the Swamiji was saying, Dekho, see, in Bhagavad Geetā there is a mention of two donkeys. They were talking in Hindi. And everybody, what? Donkeys? Where is mention of donkeys? Do Gada. Do, two. Gada is donkey. Do Gada. Devaki, or what is that? Was Sarvo Upanishado Gavo, Dogda, Gopalanandana. So, Do Gada. There are two donkeys. But I guess majority people enjoy some sprinkling of humor, but there are always some. I once gave a talk and cracked a couple of jokes which were relevant to the subject. But during question and answer session, a gentleman got up and in front of all said to me, Swamiji, you took such a serious topic and you cracked jokes. My request to you is please avoid jokes when you are dealing with a serious topic. I can never forget that man's reaction. Then I asked others, they said, no, that's all right. You quickly come back to the topic, not that you just go away from the subject. So, loko binna ruchi. Some like humor in spiritual discourses, some do not. Whom to please and whom to displease. All right, so you have the word samanya va kamaduk. What is this? The word kamaduk also could mean the very principle of our punya karma giving to us so many enjoyments in heaven or even on the earth. Sometimes unexpectedly, if you and I are treated to a wonderful feast, or we are taken round and on an enjoyable trip, we wonder, how did they include me? How come I am enjoying? The comment that Hindus generally make is, this is the fruition. This is your good karma bearing fruit at this time. So that whole principle, that whole process See me in that process. It is a cow. The punya karma that you perform are like a cow that gives you expected and unexpected happy rewards. So it could be the actual cow that was with the Vasishta, or it could be these punya phala. Rajanash chasmi kandarpaha, third one in this particular shloka. I am Kandarpa, who is Prajana. That is, among so many factors and so many forces and so many principles and so many laws behind the coming of progeny, Santana. As you know, one form of goddess Lakshmi also is called Santana Lakshmi. If you go to Chennai, by the beach, I guess in Basant Nagar, you go to a temple where as you go in, you need to climb a little in a circle, and there are 8 forms of Lakshmi. And that temple, visited by large numbers every day, every evening, by the sea, by the ocean, by the Bay of Bengal. That temple is called Ashtalakshmi temple. And one of the Ashtalakshmis is Santana Lakshmi. Pray to her if you have been longing for offspring, but you didn't get one so far. Pray to her and you will get. So, Devanam, what is this? Prajanaschasmi Kandarpa. The category is not explicitly mentioned. Therefore, I took the liberty of saying, among processes and forces, among factors and reasons, among various things that facilitate uh, progeny, people to get their child, baby girl or baby boy, Kandarpa. Kandarpa, Madana or Manmatha is the one who arouses desire in men and women to unite, to come together, and then with his blessings, with his grace, they beget a child. Therefore, Prajanaha means Prajanayita. So that is adjective of Kandarpa. But in which category? Let's put it as among processes, among factors, among forces. Sarpanamasmi Vasukihi. Of all the Sarpa, the next shloka is going to use another word, Naga. So Naga is one category of snakes, Sarpa is another category of snakes. So you have Sarpa here. Of all the Sarpa, Sarpa Bhedanam Asmi Vasukihi, Sarpa Raja. Vasuki is a certain position, certain chair. Different Jivatmas during their long journey to moksha come and occupy this chair called Sarparaja, like the city's mayor, like a country's president, like the CEO of some organization, like the principal of an educational institution. Their positions. Sarparaja is Vasuki. Vasuki was the serpent that Devas and Asuras used as the rope to make the Meru mountain go clockwise and anti-clockwise. And as that churning took place, after a lot of other items, Amrita. Recently we have a most spectacular event in our own country of India. In Prayagraj, we had Mahakumbha. Ardha Kumbha happens once in 6 years. Kumbha happens once in 12 years. Multiply by another 12. Mahakumbha happens once in 144 years. And some very huge figures. Unbelievable. No such event has ever taken place on the earth as per history. Such a huge event took place, and probably a couple of hundreds died in one stampede one day. And of course, some who went there experienced some inconvenience, but otherwise, 90% people appreciated the arrangements technically, administration-wise, engineering-wise, and from many other factors, economy-wise, from economic point of view, whatever was spent by the state government came back 100 times more, I guess. So Mahakumbha. And most of you know, but it's worth mentioning that this Amrita Mathana came twice or thrice in our discussion. During the Amrita Mathana, finally Amrita came, and I guess Garuda was carrying it in the sky. Some drops of that Amrita, that nectar, fell in 4 places. And the most important, prominent place among the 4 was this Prayag. Nashik also, some Ujjain, I think, and some Rishikesh, Haridwar. So, from 4 places, there was drops of Amrita by mistake. If you sometimes make a mistake, console yourself. Well, even Garuda by mistake dropped some Amrita on the way. He could not carry it with all full care. Or maybe there was a divine plan behind it. So Vasuki was the rope, the mighty snake. Shankara says, Ayudhanam aham vajram yadichi asti sambhavam. Asti is bone, from the bone of Dadichi Maharshi. Dhenunam dogdrinam asmi kamaduk. 2 possibilities. Vasishtasya sarvakamanam dogdri अथवा सामान्या वा कामदुक मनुष्याणां पुण्य रूपेण is understood. Prajanah prajanayita asmi. Jata means born, but janayita is causal. Causal meaning here causing the birth. So Kandarpa, Madana makes people have the sexual desire, and that leads to them becoming parents. Kandarpaha, Janayita, Jata, simple verb, Janayita, causal. In Hindi, you have nice words. Pina, Pilana, Kana, Kilana. So, wide, big set of words. Primary verb, causal verb. Sanskrit also has like that. Gachati, Gamayati. Nayati, Nayayati. Pati, maybe Payayati. Bhukte, Bhojayati. So there are primary verb. So let me not go more into Sanskrit. Prajanayita, Janayita, Prajanayita is Kandarpaha. Sarpanam, Sarpabedanam Asmi Vasukihi. Oh, we saw the Shānkara Bhāshya also. Now 29, as I said, among reptiles, there are sarpas, there are also nagas. Anantaschasmi naganam varuno yadasamaham pitrunam aryama chasmi yama sanyamatamaham. So we'll just see the meaning of naga. All that is said by a certain Tippankar. Sarpa and naga have a certain subtle inner difference. Sarpas are a general category. Among them, those serpents which have a hood, the hood that rises, they are called naga. Sarpas are on a certain level in another world called Mahatala, whereas nagas are in Patala. Just as earth and there are 6 worlds above. Bhuhu, Bhuva, Suvaha, Maha, Jana, Tapa, Satyam. Below the earth also, there are Atala, Vitala, Sutala, Rasatala, Talatala. And then there is this Mahatala and Patala. So in Mahatala, you find Sarpas. And in Patala, there are those Nagas which have a hood also. And on the earth, perhaps both of these are found here and there. So, two different kinds. Naganam Anantaha. I am Ananta. So, certain Naganam Ananta. So, some places Ananta is used to mean no other than Adishesha also. Though it is not supported by the Bhashya, it's possibly reference to Adishesha also. But Shri Krishna says, I am Ananta. We'll see a little more of this shloka in the next class, next Wednesday morning in India, Tuesday evening in the West. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.